Welcome back to the AAPRCO Sugarland Limited video series. Today, in part 2, we'll be covering the east end of the SCFE line between Clewiston and Port Mayaca, Florida.
Where are you from?
Arriving at the shops at 8 a.m. today, we see that the train is not ready as advertised, as the crew needed a little extra time to prepare the consist for the day. But it treated us to some nice switching moves, and I even got to see them start up USSC number 409. Due to the fact that the Sugarland Limited was currently blocking 148's track to get out of the shops, 409 brings the entire consist ahead and shoves it back so that the steam can come out and hook up to today's train. As the consist pulls out, let's take a look at the cars that are on the Sugarland Limited. First up is USSC's own open-air car, the Miami Locks, an ex-Amtrak baggage car. The first private Varnish on the day is the Clewiston, an ex-Frisco sleeper.
At a place called the Rice Martel in Morgan. It was, they're going to back all the way down.
In its as-delivered paint when first built, the Frisco Cimarron River is the second car in the consist today.
Yeah.
The only dome in the consist is the Northern Sky, an ex-UP dome built in 1955.
Y'all ready for a nice chase?
Paired with the Northern Sky is the Northern Dreams, another ex-UP sleeper.
Alright.
A little ways, but not
I'm
too
from the
bad.
south too, southern Ohio.
Yeah.
Next up is my personal favorite in the consist, the Seaboard Hollywood Beach, a sleeper built by Pullman in 1956 for the SAL. The PRR, Francis L. Sutter, is the first of 3 heavyweights in today's consist. It is also the oldest private rail car in active service, being built in 1914.
That's not too bad to drive. I'll be down close to there later on.
The New York Central 3, or Portland, is a 1928 built Pullman 6-axle heavyweight sleeper.
I have my Savannah shirt on. I got to get the car. That's not too bad.
And bringing up the drumhead today is the Chesapeake and Ohio Chapel Hill, built in 1922 by American Car and Foundry. I have more detailed information on the entire consist in the Part 1 video of the Sugarland Limited, which I will throw a link to in the top left corner of this video.
In this case, she's just daddy rod for us.
With USSC 409 out of the way, USSC number 148 appears front and center to lead today's train up to Port Mayaca. Now that the train is coupled up and ready to go, I move over to Davidson Road, which will be the first shot of today's eastbound run towards Port Mayaca. Following an all too familiar chasing route, our next spot is at Evercane Road, where we see 148 work to get the train up to track speed. This next shot at Lake Harbor almost didn't even happen, as I was considering skipping it due to the fact that I wanted to get a shot in Belle Glade and get through town without being too far behind the special. But it turns out they will be doing run-bys at Lake Harbor, so we did pull off and we caught the train as they pulled in to allow the guests to get off and set up for the run-by. The photo run by itself was quite spectacular. The crew was instructed to bring on the smoke, and as they rounded the bend to line up with the crossing in the canal, the smoke poured out of 148's stack, creating an amazing photo opportunity. While the Sugarland Limited was stopped and recollecting its passengers, we moved on to Belle Glade, where we get the train rolling over some switches at about 30 miles an hour. In Pahokee, I put the drone back up for another aerial run-by as 148 cruises through on its way to Bryant. When the Sugarland Limited reached Bryant, 148 unhooked and backed on to the Bryant lead in order so they could reach an area to fill up the locomotive's tender. This section of track has actually been deactivated, as USSC has built their own separate line from the Bryant area loadouts directly into Clewiston, no longer needing to use the SCFE tracks. The full duration of the water stop was about 30 minutes, and soon enough the crew had 148 topped off once more, ready to head back towards the train and continue the run to Port Mayaca. Moving to Canal Point, just north of Bryant, we watch as 148 gets the Sugarland Limited back up to speed one last time before reaching Port Mayaca. Note the headlight being out in this clip, and the crew was later notified and turned it on before reaching Port Mayaca for the important run-by. Bridge halfway between Canal Point and Port Mayaca, we watched the Sugarland Limited roll through at 40 miles an hour. And now we have reached the most important shot of the day, the Port Mayaca lift bridge. A bridge that's just as old as 148, and it's been a very high priority on my list of things to see in Florida for a long time. So it's really great to get out here and watch the train today at this location. .148 eased up to a stop here at Port Mayaca briefly as the home signal protecting the bridge was red. Since it was lowered manually, that home signal will not show a clear, but the little light on the signal bungalow to my right was green, and once 148 confirmed that with the bridge tender, they pulled ahead to unload the AAPRCO guests on the other side of the bridge. After unloading the guests and backing up to the south end of the bridge, 148 eases ahead for the much anticipated photo run-by. I am extremely happy with how this drone footage came out, and I could not have asked for a better train to photograph going across. After the run-by, the Sugarland Limited ran up to Marcy to run around their train and have a diesel added for the return trip. While that was happening, I got a time-lapse of the bridge raising as they didn't want to block any boat traffic before the AAPRCO special returned. About an hour later, the special returned back south with GP11 number 308 leading the train back home. They didn't want 148 to lead tender first back, and since there was no way to Y the engine, they added the diesel for the trip home. AAPRCO Sugarland Limited. I had an absolute blast chasing, without a doubt, the best train 148 has pulled since its restoration to service. I hope to see things like this in the future, but as for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.